One of the most important members of the House of Representatives is Chip Roy. I know Chip Roy personally. I've known him for many years. He was chief of staff to Ted Cruz, just solid as a rock. But he's not just a vote, he's a leader. And that's where the rubber hits the road. Chip Roy, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, Mark. Thanks for having me on. You and your wonderful family are doing well.
Thank you. Yes, and I hope yours as well. Now, Chip Roy, you see this election, how it's breaking out here. Have you ever seen a more radical agenda by a party, and not just at the national level, but the candidate you're running against?
No, you're exactly right. I'm running against Wendy Davis, who is fairly infamous for having filibustered on the floor of the Texas State Senate for not just abortion, but for third trimester abortion. That is abortion right up until birth. She would fit right in with the radical Nancy Pelosi agenda, an agenda that I'm calling out, and I just called out on the floor of the House of Representatives, as you well know, because they refuse to stand with our law enforcement. They refuse to stand with cops. I actually was on the floor of the House last week talking about the 43 law enforcement officers who have been murdered in the line of duty. And my Democratic colleagues refuse to come to the floor and celebrate their lives or defend cops or law enforcement. It is a radical agenda, ban fracking, abortion on demand, not securing the border. Wendy Davis, my opponent, when she was in the Texas State Senate, she voted against banning sanctuary cities. She wants to take your guns away. This is a radical agenda. And Kamala Harris, you know, it's the Harris administration, right, Mark? The Harris-Biden administration. Kamala Harris has been outward and speaking out and saying she would ban fracking, and Joe Biden is just bobbling along right alongside of her.
How does it look in your race down there?
Well, you know, we feel good because we are definitively outworking the other side. I've driven 6,000 miles across the district in the last 40 days, and we're not going to...
Well, the public needs to know you have a huge district geographically.
I do. It's 10 counties, and you know, we're going to win the vast majority of it. But Austin, Texas is a growing percentage of the district, and it's very liberal. My old boss, Governor Perry, refers to it as the blueberry and the tomato soup. And my opponent is running vicious attack ads. The DCCC, the Pelosi PAC, they're running millions of dollars to attack me because they don't like me, because I call BS on what they do. And they're trying to take me down, and they're running vicious attack ads saying that I don't stand with our veterans. And I serve on the Veterans Affairs Committee. I've been working to pass legislation to protect their Second Amendment rights, to recognize Vietnam veterans. But she's coming after me saying that I don't stand with them because, Mark, you know why? Because I didn't play the game in Washington, and I voted against a bill that had tax increases in it, but happened to have a provision in there for Gold Star families. I co-sponsor the bill for Gold Star families. But she's a liar who's running ads along with the DCCC trying to attack me and make up stuff that isn't true.
Isn't this what they do? In other words, they don't want to run against you. They want to run against a caricature of you. They do the same thing with Trump. They do the same thing all the time. That is, they want to run against somebody who has not been nominated on the Republican side, and they try and project that onto the candidate. So they run these lies.
No, this is their playbook, right? It is a character assassination. It's to make stuff up because for them, power is everything. For us, freedom is everything. Letting Texas be Texas. Standing up for America. They want power so they can tell the American people what to do. Take their guns away. Limit their ability to have freedom. Limit their ability to have power that powers up their lives. Tell them what their health care has to look like. All of that is what they want to do. You and I, we want to fight for freedom. We want our kids and our grandkids to experience the American dream. I didn't come to D.C. to play the game. I came here to fight it. I came here to change this town. They know it, and they don't like it, so they're going to lie, just like they did, by the way, about Kavanaugh, just like they will do on the next nominee when President Trump rightfully picks a justice to replace Justice Ginsburg sometime in the next week, just like they did when they targeted Miguel Estrada. Why? Because he's Hispanic.
Who was up for a circuit position, and they didn't want him up there because they were afraid he would then move up to the Supreme Court.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's what they do. And they do it, and they've done it from the time of Bork and Thomas and Alito. Talk to Sam Alito's wonderful wife, Martha Ann, about the attacks they levied against him. I was there on the Senate Judiciary Committee. I've seen it. I've seen their sleeves in action. And they hurt a good man, Miguel Estrada, simply because we know this to be true. He's Hispanic. They couldn't abide there being a conservative Hispanic on the court. So they targeted him to take him down. They wanted to do it to Kavanaugh, and they failed. They want to do it to Amy Barrett if she's the nominee or one of the other nominees. That's what they want to do. This president will nominate a good judge, a good justice, and we're going to all stand up and make sure that we push that person across the line.
Now, Chip Roy, you're running in the 21st Congressional District in Texas. If people want to support you, send you money from anywhere in the country or support you at the polls and door-to-door and other volunteer activities in your district, where do they go?
Well, they go to chiproi.com, CHIPROY.com, and I would greatly appreciate the support. Your listeners are so devoted to this country. They, like me, like you, want to stand up for America. Act Blue has raised $100 million for Democrats, including probably hundreds of thousands, if not a million, for my opponent, Wendy Davis, literally since Justice Ginsburg died. They're so focused on the court. That's what they want. And so they've got money pouring in, and so every dollar that your listeners give me helps. I mean, if 10,000 listeners give me $100, that's $1 million. And that's $1 million that I can run ads to defeat Wendy Davis, come back to Congress, hold this place accountable, fight for the very freedoms that you and I are standing up for. And all those great things that you write in your books, that you stand up on this show every night fighting for this country, that's what I'm doing on the floor of the House of Representatives, and they don't want me to. They want to stop it. They don't like the Freedom Caucus. They don't like those of us who stand up for America.
Now, here's the thing, America. If we're going to be watching very closely on election night a number of races, obviously the presidential race and some Senate races, but we're going to be carefully looking at House races. And if Chip Roy loses, that tells me we're going to have a disastrous night. So if you can help Chip, go to chiproy.com, chiproy.com. It's a marginal district. They're outspending him. All the national left-wing efforts are pouring fortune into this race. Chip has a good shot at keeping a seat. We need his voice in the House. There are certain voices that we like. This one we need. It's chiproy.com. Anybody who lives in the district or close to the district and can help him on Election Day, I hope you will. But I'm hoping that all of you out there who are in a position to do so will contribute and support Chip Roy for Congress. Now, Chip, I have a couple other questions for you, too.
Sure.
Look at foreign policy. Did you ever think that we'd have a situation here now where peace is breaking out in the Middle East due to Donald Trump's policies, and then Joe Biden and his party want to refund the Iranian regime? They want to go back to refunding the Palestinian Authority and others who targeted Americans and Jews in Israel to kill us. I mean, if you go back to that, you're going to undo all the peace that's breaking out in the Middle East, are you not?
No, this is 100% correct. And look, we have no greater ally in the world than Israel, and particularly their geopolitical position right there in the Middle East, standing alongside of us as a democracy in the Middle East. And the president was right to recognize Jerusalem as the capital, to move the embassy there. And guess what? Through our leadership, other countries followed. While all of the Democrats said, oh, that'll never happen, that'll cause chaos. When the president took out Soleimani, they said, oh, no, now it's going to be war. We know what we get when we get the Biden agenda that we saw in the Obama-Biden administration, where they dump cash on the runway for a Iranian regime who murders its citizens, who targets Israel. They're our enemy, and they wanted to side with Iran. This president wants to side with Israel, and we've got now the fruits of that. UAE, Bahrain, and we're seeing the fruits of that in other countries that are interested, even Saudi Arabia, Oman. They're now talking to Israel in ways that never would have been imagined a few years ago. Why? Because we're leading again. Democrats want to take us backward. The president wants to take us forward, standing right alongside Israel as we should be.
You know, the Democrat Party, and that's going to include your opponent, God forbid, if she wins, they want open borders. They want free health care for illegal aliens. In addition to that, when it comes to China, it's clear that the Xi communist genocidal regime is cheering for Joe Biden and certainly his son. We're going to have a disaster on our border, and we're going to have a disaster dealing with China, aren't we?
Absolutely. And these are obviously two of the major issues. In addition to keeping our streets safe and standing alongside law enforcement, getting jobs back, we got to hold the line against China. This president is willing to do that. He's been doing it since he got into office. This president is willing to secure the border of the United States, while Nancy Pelosi and AOC and all these liberal Democrats that Wendy Davis would be right alongside wants to say kids in cages, wants to say they're drinking out of toilets, says abolish ICE, says defund Border Patrol. I'm going to stand with Border Patrol. They're backing me. They're endorsing me. Why? Because I've spent hours, days going down to the border, seeing what's really happening. The 900,000 people we apprehended last year in 2019, while dangerous cartels are empowered, who abuse immigrants on the journey, abuse little girls, because we empower the cartels. We're the greatest country in the history of the world, and Democrats want to let cartels run our border. That is absolutely an abomination, and it's embarrassing that the Democratic House of Representatives doesn't care about securing our border and doesn't care about immigrants in the process.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks, if you want to support Chip Roy, it's chiproy.com, chiproy.com. I hope you will. If you can, I hope you will. And people want to support his effort and volunteer. It's a huge district. That would be a good idea, too. Any final words, Chip?
Mark, I'll only say this. Thank you for what you do every day for this country. Thank you for being a voice for liberty and reason and freedom. We're going to win this because we believe in our country. We're going to stand up for America, and you do it every night, and I'm just honored to be on the show and appreciate your friendship.
All right, and likewise, and God bless and Godspeed, my friend.
God bless.
You know, that young man had very, very bad bout of cancer. And he's a man of faith, and he and his family prayed, and they fought it with every muscle in his body, and he overcame it. And then he decided he was saved for a reason. And the reason is to help save the country. That's Chip Roy, chiproy.com. He is, really, when I tell you he's exceptional, he's exceptional.